Welcome, 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 everyone, to the Improvly Speaking podcast. I'm your host, Dana Gowan. And listen, you are in for a real treat because today we have on our second international guest on the show, second of many, but I'm so excited. We are recording an ocean apart, and I'm just so excited we've been able to make this work. Before we jump in and I tell you about our amazing guest today, let me tell you a little bit about this podcast. If you're new to it, I'll give you the rundown of what we're all about here. The goals of this podcast are one, to help people understand the benefits of improvisation and applied improvisation. Two, to demonstrate how improv shows up in all aspects of our lives. And three, to inspire people to try new things, get out of your heads and judgment zones, and find creative outlets and passions that can help you and transform you. And our guest today is an experienced improviser and also an experienced applied improv facilitator. And I cannot wait to nerd out about applied improv and all things improv today. Let me tell you about our fabulous guest, Ferran Luengo. Ferran is a Spanish actor, improviser, and applied theater facilitator based in London. He has his postgraduate on theater and education and applied theater master degree. Ferran started doing improv from scripted theater in 2006, and he's been active in improv ever since. He trained with many Spanish and international teachers and also at the Annoyance Theater in Chicago. In Spain, he was on the organizing committee of the Corte de Poblet Improv League and co-founded the English-speaking group Valencia Improv Playground. Now in London, he improvises with the a cappella musical improv troupe Acaprov, not GCSE Drama, and the Hoopla Impro house team Shuffle. He is quite busy. He is passionate about playback theater, which we will jump into today, but it is a community-oriented improv art form that he has been practicing since 2013. He's brought playback theater workshops all around several continents, and he's the secretary of the International Playback Theatre Network. He performs and facilitates for London Playback and True Heart Theatre. As an applied theater facilitator and performer, Ferran is committed to theater and education, working in artistic projects, facilitating drama workshops, and performing in dozens of schools and colleges across London and beyond. Oh boy, we are in for such a treat today. Please welcome the fierce, fabulous, and facilitative Ferran Luengo. Welcome, Ferran.
Yay! Thank you so much for having me, Dana. I'm a huge fan of your show, so being here for me is a treat.
Well, Ferran, I was going to say, I think you might be our top fan of the show. I mean, I know we have other listeners, but at least at the end of the year, you posted that you had listened to all of the episodes. You were caught up on all of
I
the
did, I
episodes.
did, I did. So you might get a few stats from London when you're checking the.
I do, and I'm always happy to see, and thank you for listening and supporting. And of course, I don't have you on just because my ego loves to hear that you're a big fan, but also because I know you are a fabulous improviser and a applied improviser. So I'm
Thank
just
you.
so excited that you're here and we're doing this.
Yay!
You've been on my list for a while to have on, and I'm
Nice.
excited. Finally.
Nice. The first non-English speaker, right?
I think so. Neil is Irish, but yes,
Yep.
so yes, all right. We're making headway here in the podcast. This is awesome. I love it. And for our listeners, Ferran and I met at Camp Improv Utopia West Camp in May 2023. And Ferran, I don't think we had any sessions together. I'm sorry if I'm misremembering that.
No, I don't think so. No,
I don't think so either, yeah, but we did
No.
chat during the breaks and stuff, and then since camp, we have chatted more over the internet and stuff. So I'm just so excited that we got to
Mm.
meet. And you led you led El Workshopo during one of the break times, which I did not
Uh-huh.
attend because my Spanish
Yeah,
is not good, muy terrible, but I heard it was very fun.
it was. And actually, I think that you should have joined because it is very, very friendly and is a form of applied improv, using improv and improv games to reinforce or encourage the use of a language.
Next time I will join. Next time I will be there for sure. I won't be
Yeah.
intimidated or scared. I definitely, like, no butted myself. It's like, "I don't know Spanish very well. It's so bad. I won't know what anyone's saying." But you're right.
Yeah.
I heard it was great times.
It was.
How long have you been a part of that community?
Ah, now you're making me nostalgic. No, seriously, for me, Improv Utopia means a lot. I think it was a turning point for me. When I first heard of Improv Utopia, of course, I was living in Spain, just a improviser in Spain, doing research on the internet about trying to learn things improv because it's the only way to grow in Spain. It was very stuck back then. We get into the Spanish scene later. But
Yes.
anyway, I was looking into improv things and I stumbled into Improv Utopia. And I thought, oh, that's very cool. I wish someday I could go to this improv camp with cabins like in the movies, like in the American movies and all of that. And few months later, I stumbled into because I follow it instantly on Twitter. And then I saw, oh, they're doing an international one in Ireland. Ireland is relatively close to Spain. So I'm going to apply. And applied, got into the wait list. 10 days later, I got off the play list and I signed up. And that was in 2018, the first Improv
Oh,
Utopia
okay.
Island. And I show up there alone, not knowing anyone. And Jackie greeted me, Nick greeted me. I felt a little bit overwhelmed, I'm not gonna lie. It was my first international improv experience.
Understandably so.
Yeah, and they were, well, you know them, they were very friendly. They took me in. I met wonderful people that now are closest friends, like Michael Ostrauskas, and of course, Nick, Jackie, and Neil. And I spent a wonderful weekend. It is very different of the Americans ones, I must tell you. The Irish one was also different. And it was so much fun. The workshops, the networking with all of the improvisers, the partying, the karaoke night.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah. And also, I get to experience American improv for the first time. And in my head, I was very curious. Why are they running in front of the. I didn't know what an edit was back then.
Oh, yeah, that's so interesting, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because that was the first time I experienced American improv in Ireland.
Which is so funny, you went to Ireland to experience American improv too. That's funny.
Improv, yes. Yeah, had a great time. I learned a lot. And then I tried to bring everything that I learned to Spain. And of course, that was my first Improv Utopia. And because I've made a lot of friends, especially Michael said, why don't you come to San Francisco, to West? So I went to West in 2019. I was hosted wonderfully. They made very
Aw.
easy for me. I just had to land in San Francisco. By the way, first time ever in the United States.
What? And
My
you
first,
came for improv camp. That's
Yeah,
incredible.
Improv Utopia made me go to the United States for the first time.
Well, in San Francisco of all places, I mean, it's a huge city, a dense city, very busy. Yeah, that can feel
That's
very
yeah.
overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice. I got to do a little bit of sightseeing as well. But the first time that I did when I came out from the plane, so Michael and I don't know if you know Billy Mass, they took me from the airport. We went to Billy's house. They showed me around San Francisco, and on that night, they took me to Endgame's Improv to play in one act
What?
in one set, and I did that set without having I haven't slept for 24 hours.
Oh my god.
Yeah, because you know how when you go to the other side of the world, you want to hold up to acclimate to the new time zone. And Sean Gary organized this set at Endgames Improv and invited me to play with them. And actually, they asked me to get the get from the audience. And I went there and I say, hey, hi, hello. My name is Ferran. This is my first time in San Francisco. This is my first time in the United States. Everyone was cheering. Yeah, yeah. And I explained, well, since I haven't slept for 24 hours, I would like to get a suggestion from you. And for example, right now, I really, really, really want to sleep. I want to dream. So, what are your dreams?
Yes.
And someone shouted out ice cream, and ice cream was a suggestion, and we did a set around ice cream. But yeah, it was the best experience to get into the improv community of the United States right off the plane.
They really threw you in. They
Yeah,
said, "You probably don't
yeah, yeah,
even know
yeah.
what you're saying, much less translate
Hmm.
and speak in English." Is that a second language or third language of yours?
It's my third language. My native languages are Spanish and Catalan. Catalan is one language that we speak in Catalonia and Valencia, which I'm from there. I grew up speaking in Catalan, and that's the language that I speak at home, for example.
Yeah,
Mm.
so these friends, so-called improv friends of yours, get you off the plane, put you
Yeah.
up on stage, have you get the suggestion in your third language, and have you do a set and an act in your third language. Honestly, those are good friends, but I can only imagine the
Yeah.
delirium in your mind. You're like, "I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know what's going on." That's wild.
Well, that night I slept like a baby.
Yeah. That's awesome. I imagine you just like, "Hey, I
Yeah.
I just did it all. I just flew across the country, made people cheer and laugh when I was
Yeah.
on stage. You can sleep well."
Yeah, and it was nice to experience the West Camp as well. Loved it, loved the experience. And then I was planning to go to East the following year. No, I'm lying. Between that, after that, I went again to Improv Utopia Island 2019. Of course,
Okay.
I mean I cannot let the chance. If I have an Improv Utopia really close to me, I have to go.
Of course.
And then I sign up for East for the next East. But then what happened
Wah, wah,
in
wah.
2020?
Yep.
Yeah. So I didn't get to another camp until 2022, I think. Yes, 2022, because in 21, most of the restrictions were lifted for the pandemic,
Right.
but not the travel ban from the US.
Mhm.
There
Yeah.
was a travel ban, so I couldn't go there. But again, Jackie and Nick saved my place for the following year. So in 2022, I got to East.
Oh, good. Nice.
Yeah. And yeah, last year I did West again and Spain, both of them.
And what's on the dock for this year? You're doing Yosemite this year?
I'm in the wait list. Yeah, I really, really, really want to go because it's the only one that I haven't done, the
Mhm.
Yosemite one.
Okay, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I was invited again by Nick to facilitate at Improvitopia Spain in October.
Yay! Oh my god. Oh, that would
Yeah.
be a whirlwind if you do Yosemite in September and Spain in October. My goodness.
Yes. Yes, it will be interesting. But yeah, so as you can tell, my Improvitopia journey from attending in 2018 to Ireland to get to teaching in 2023 and 2024 in Spain. It's crazy. I'm so grateful to Nick and Jackie and Neil to make it possible because it meant a lot to me last year to be teaching at Improv Utopia
Hmm.
Spain. Mm.
Yeah, that's wonderful, and I hear Spain is quite intimate camp of, like it's a smaller group, which means you probably get a lot of reps, you get a lot of learning, you get to really meet your cohort.
Yeah,
Well, I hear it's such a
yeah,
special experience. It's on my list to go, and hopefully improv can
yeah.
bring me internationally across the pond
Y-
to experience.
yes, yes. The Spanish one is something you cherish for a long time because you really are together, bonding. We all eat in the same table. We spend a lot of
Mhm.
time together, everyone. So yeah, it's magical.
Oh, it is. It's wonderful. Well, Ferran, I could talk Camp Improv Utopia with you all day. We could have a whole podcast on that too, and honestly,
Yeah.
maybe we will. We'll do a part 2, but I do wanna get into your improv journey, and it started in 2006 according to your bio, but can you give us a rundown of, like,
Yes.
what drew you into improv?
Okay. So I started doing theater in college in the early 2000s. And I was doing like a lot of scripted. I joined theater because friends always were telling me, "Oh, you're." When I was like fooling around quoting movies or something like that, "Oh, you're good. You should join the theater group." I say, "Okay, I'll join the theater group," and I got hooked. And
Well,
again, that changed my life. So,
did you do any theater in school, like younger school, early education?
no, no. It was in
Wow.
college.
Oh my gosh.
I was studying computing.
Wow.
And I got into theater, and I got hooked. That made me happy. And in 2006, we I think we because the people that we were closer to that group, we went to do a improv workshop from Veronique Joly, which was back then in 2006 the president of the Improv League in Paris, in France. And we loved it. It was quite focused in the improv match setup. I don't know if you know about improv match.
Like cage
And
match kinda
kind of
thing?
cage match or theater sports,
Got it,
comedy
gotcha, okay.
sports, but instead of game versus game, it's a scene versus scene.
Oh,
So
interesting.
there's a
Okay.
yeah, that's the Canadian way of doing improv league.
Ah, okay.
That's the Canadian, yeah. And we enjoyed it. We started getting together without any teacher, just a copy of Truth in Comedy in our hands, reading it, and who the fuck is Harold? And that.
Right.
Oh, sorry, I can swear in your show.
You sure can. Yep, yeah, I will mark this as
Okay,
explicit. Please, be your authentic
okay,
self
okay,
if that includes swearing.
okay. So yeah, we just got together every now and then to practice improv, and we weren't doing anything or performing or doing improv back then. But then life, so I started doing it in 2006. We carry on for a little bit, but I have a lot of scripted commitments. Back then, I was in the official theater group representing the university, and we toured before the crisis in 2008. We
Mm.
traveled a lot performing in different theaters, and it
Wow.
was one of my happiest times in my life. Then I stopped for a little while for personal reasons. My mother got sick, and it was a few times that I didn't do improv at all. And then in 2012, I reprised improv more seriously, like with proper improv classes.
Mm. Mhm.
And since then, I haven't stopped.
I know we'll talk more about the playback theater in a little bit, but you found playback theater in
Right.
2013, right?
Yeah, in 2013, I discovered playback theater while doing the postgraduate in theater and education. One of the things that I did when I finished college, I'm an engineer actually.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
crazy. An engineer that can act.
yeah, but what I did with my degree is use it to enroll in a postgraduate in theater and education.
Okay.
And there is the first time that I learned about theater of the oppressed, playback theater, many other environments that you can use theater on. But of course, the bulk was on education. And director of the postgraduate, Tomas Motos, which is like a big name on theater in education here in Spain and also in Canada. He's pretty popular. He heard about playback theater. He know a lot of playback theater theoretically, and he wanted to try it. And one day after classes in the postgraduate, he came to me and said, "Hey, you do improv, right?" And I say, "Yes, yes, I do. I do improv. Um, would you like to try doing playback theater?" And my thought was, "Yeah, sure. Why not? More stage time."
Yeah, right?
And then I found out what playback theater was about. And I said, "Ooh, okay." The more I did playback theater, the more, ooh, okay, this is deep. This can make a difference. This is something that I want to keep doing. And I kept doing, and I'm still doing it.
That's amazing. And you said that you kinda caught the bug, right? You did it in college and you're like, "I love this. This is amazing." What was it that drew you in, and then what's kept you going in it? What are the feelings and emotions you get from doing acting and then now improv?
It's funny that you asked me that because it's a question that I get a lot from kids when I go to schools here in London, especially
Yeah.
from the secondary schools. Sometimes they ask me, "Why are you doing this?" Or "What's the secret of doing this? How do you keep doing this?" And I always answer the same. It's I have fun.
Mm.
It brings
Mhm.
me joy. And in this life, you should do whatever brings you joy. I'm just following my joy.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
It's a white whale.
You've been chasing it for a long time, yeah.
Yeah.
How has improv and comedy in general helped you in your life? I mean, it's helped you find joy. I mean, you said it's changed your life, right?
Mm. Yeah. Well, improv, I mean, it's a great mindset for starters, like being able to accept whatever comes to you and build upon that. That's the basic rule of improv that you can apply in your life. And I have a kind of, I wouldn't say complicated, but it's not like, because the improv scene in Spain, what I was doing is mostly short form
Mhm.
or improv league, like improv league Canadian style. In Spain, especially in my area in Valencia, improv leagues are a big thing. They are
Okay.
very popular. And in one hand, I enjoy doing those things. In other hand, as someone with theater background who loves theater, I didn't have a platform within the Spanish improv to try to explore that because no one was willing to do long form. I mean, people saw improv as pure fun entertainment rather than something more that you can create, something deep, grounded. And that is partly what drove me to playback theater. Because playback theater, yes, it's kind of short. We don't perform like very lengthy time. The pieces are short,
Mhm.
but you're working with emotions, you're working with real life problems, you're working with the stories from others. You learn how to work with those stories in a way that you don't want to be harmful.
Mhm.
They say harmful? And please correct me if my English is
You are
weird.
doing fantastic.
Yeah,
You are I
yeah,
mean, this is
yeah,
your third language. Keep going. You're doing great. And yeah, harmful is
yeah,
correct.
yeah, harmful. So we use a lot of symbolism when we have to reenact difficult stories with domestic violence, sexual abuse,
Mhm.
suicide, illness, death, whatever. So in playback theater, I have somewhere to scratch my itch. But I enjoy, of course, and I keep doing improv. And another thing that didn't happen in Spain is musical improv. I'm a big fan of musical improv. I like singing. I like burst into a song, doing a scene. And in Spain, I was known about that. So, for example, in the improv league, whatever the category of the improv was musical or song, my teammates look at me and said, "Okay, there you go. This is yours." And that's why when I moved to London, the first thing that I did is join every musical improv workshop that I could. And now I'm in a musical improv troupe.
Acaprov, right?
Acaprov, yes.
So
Uh,
that's a cappella, so you do not have an accompanist with you.
nope.
Very
We are,
impressive.
yeah. If that's basically if you're not on stage, you're in the band. And we do long form as well. It's an improvised musical a cappella. And it was founded by Lisa Lin, which is amazing. And so grateful that she invited me last year to join Caprov. And now I see myself as a confident musical improviser, considering that I have to sing and rhyme in a language that is not mine. That was my biggest fear when I came here to London, my biggest hurdle to overcome. But then with the time, I realized, well, I'll just be me. If I don't rhyme, I won't rhyme.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can sing. So whatever comes from my mouth, it's okay.
Were
Yeah.
you a singer before, like, or you just enjoyed singing, or did you have any singing training?
No, no, I didn't have any singing training. Well, I did once in 2006 as well. I went to a musical theater school and I was in a production of Cabaret on ensemble.
Whoa. Nice.
Yeah, not none of the parts of the main parts. I was just on ensemble singing, but But yeah, I enjoy singing. I like singing. I like strumming my ukulele to accompany me sometimes. And now in London is something like, okay, if you want to do this seriously, you have to do a little bit more. So not only I did a lot of musical improv workshops, but I also every other week I go to a vocal coach, singing coach as well, which happens to be an old friend from Spain, from Barcelona, who lives now in London. He did musical theater here in London, and now he lives in London. And I moved to London. He was living here. We got together. We hang out. And I say, "Hey, I might use your coaching skills." And I basically every other week I go to the what I call the vocal gym for some singing workout. Mm.
That's awesome. I'm really impressed that you've just like jumped in and you're like, this brings me so much joy. This lights me up. I want to keep doing this. And you've made it your thing. Like, because I
Yeah.
recognize in the States, we go to college, we get our degree. And at least for me personally, I'm like, this is what I'm supposed to do for the rest of my life is to do this degree. And I'm 10 years plus into my career and I'm like, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my
Um,
life. And I've found this joy of theater and improv and speaking. And it's like, well, I want to lean into that. So I'm very inspired by your journey of making that transition and just really jumping in and following the joy.
yeah. I must tell that it wasn't easy, of course.
Of
It's not
course.
easy being an applied theater facilitator looking for a job. In Spain, I couldn't work.
Okay.
Applied improv, applied theater is not like a big thing. To, just to not say it is a thing at all,
Right.
because I really did some corporate gigs. It was more about role playing and training for the employees. We had a big gig. I don't know if you know the company Europe Car. It's a rental
Okay.
company that's all across Europe. And they did one summit in Spain.
Oh.
And we went to facilitate for them in English, of course. That was an
Yeah.
asset. And yeah, but here coming to London, there are more opportunities to work as an applied theatre facilitator, practitioner.
Would you say it's because I mean, I do think of London as kind of a mecca of theater. Is that because London kind of just loves the theater space and then sees how it can apply?
Maybe, I don't know, not to teach English theatre. I mean, the theatre for me is a universal language. And not
Mm,
for me, it's not a mecca because, for example, in Spain, we have brilliant, brilliant
for sure.
playwrights. Yeah, so but yeah, there's a European sensitivity around it that maybe you don't have in the States. Here in London, in schools, for now, I touch wood, I knock on wood, because fundings, of course. But yes,
Right.
it's schools reach out more to this kind of activities. So I go to a lot of schools doing storytelling in Spanish as well, and theatralize workshops to cement the knowledge, like the Stone Age or World War One. So we do fun activities, kind of drama activities around that knowledge, so they can learn better. So yeah, there's more things to work with here in London.
When did you move to London?
2020.
Oh, like right before the
Oh
pandemic or
yeah.
during?
No, it was planned. It was planned. So my partner got an offer here in a tech company. And so also for her and for me, it was better to move to London because we have better opportunities in tech or in applied theater. We were going to have better opportunities here than in Spain. So we moved. She started in January of 2020. I was supposed to join her in March, but the country closed, the borders closed. So I stayed extra time in Spain until I could come to London in July of 2020. Yeah.
I bet that was very stressful at the time, I'm
Yeah.
sure. There's a
Yeah,
lot
it
of
was.
uncertainty. So, yeah, I imagine that was very stressful.
Yeah. And it was rough moving during the pandemic and after the pandemic because there was a lot of time that I couldn't work. I taught a few workshops online. When things started to open up, I could get to interviews and auditions, and eventually I started working. And so far, things are going well.
I hope it keeps going well. That's amazing. Ferran, I've got to ask too. I want to get to playback theater, but I've got one more speaking question for you because you do a lot of public speaking, instructing, facilitating in different
Yeah,
languages. So you're translating in your head.
yeah.
What has been your journey
No.
as a public speaker? Did you always love it, or did you have to learn to love it? Or did you
And-
discover that you loved it in college?
okay, no. I'm sorry for the things that I'm going to say right now, but I suck at public speaking.
What?
I'm very, I'm very bad at it. Yeah, genuinely. So I guess when I'm facilitating or I'm on stage or doing something, it's like I'm playing. But for example, in college, in the masters or whatever, I have to present a dissertation at the end.
Mhm.
I don't know if in the United States you do that. At the end, you have to present like
Yes, similar, yep.
your dissertation. Yeah, I get crazy nervous, like crazy nervous. Like I could feel my heartbeat.
I know the feeling.
And yeah, I guess now I'm more comfortable speaking out to public, whether they are uh, teens, preteens, or adults, because I do like facilitate. I do like, and I think when you are trying to teach the things that you love, you find it easier. You don't think I'm going to say that, I'm going to do that, I'm going to
Mhm.
behave that way. No, you're just delivering what you love and what you like to do. And I think it comes more naturally.
Then when it's forced.
Yeah, exactly. Or a stage. I don't stage when I
Mm.
facilitate. I don't stage my facilitation, and I'm sure you don't as well. So for me, it's quite different facilitating that public speaking a little
Yes.
bit. Yeah. So I think that's why I like facilitating, and people say that they enjoy my facilitation, even if it's playback theater and we're talking about something serious. I kind of bring some levity to it.
Mm.
Levity.
Mhm. Yeah,
So, and some people have told me that, and that they enjoy it. So, I mean, I guess it's authenticity.
for sure. I like facilitating more than public speaking, kind of what you're saying, because you're not just up there speaking for an hour yourself as like a one-way
Hmm.
conversation, although the best keynote speakers and public speakers, they make it a conversation even if they are the only ones talking. So they
Hmm.
do a very good job of that. But I agree with you with facilitation is that it is a conversation with your participants and they get involved and they get to participate in the workshop and the training. They get to experience it. They get to feel how this will relate to their lives. There's so much learning and practice that goes on. So I love facilitating over speaking in that regard too. I agree with you there.
Yeah, but because it's just, I like to share my knowledge of things. And that makes it easier when something share. Then you're like, hey, have you seen that? The same way when you love a movie or something you want to tell a friend, hey, have you seen this movie? Oh, it's so great because yada, 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 yada. You don't think about how you are communicated, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and that
Yeah.
authenticity piece, because you're lit up and you
Hmm.
love that subject, again, like you
Yeah.
said, you're not worried about what do I look like? What's my face doing? Am I making eye contact with people?
Yeah.
You're doing all of that without having to think about it. And
Mm.
people get excited when you're excited. And people see the
Yeah.
passion from you and they get excited. And yeah, that is exactly what authenticity is. And I'll tell you, I had to do a webinar like a month or two ago on a topic that was work related, full-time work related, and it did not light me up. And it was so hard to work on, like even just to sit down at the computer and put the slides together and work on it. It felt so draining. I think I
Mm.
delivered it fine. It just felt fine, and it didn't feel great or even good. Like it ended, and that was it. Like it just, and I don't like that. Like I want to feel excited
Yeah.
about what I'm talking about
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, well, not always feels great, and I have this sensation as well when I went to a particular school. Well, schools are other universe, depending of the group of kids that you are working with. Sometimes
Mm.
it goes great; they're super engaged. They love you. They want to know more about you at the end, and sometimes they just don't want to be in the room. They just want to. And most of the times I end up with that feeling there, okay, I did it. Maybe I don't enjoy it because several circumstances, but I did it and I'm happy with what I did. Considering,
Do you have any techniques for getting buy-in of those students? Because I know you work in a lot of educational settings. So do you have any
yeah,
buy-in or tips for like students are like arms crossed, they're like, I don't want to do this. Like, how do you get them involved?
okay, you know something that helped me? And that's something that I haven't told you beforehand,
Yeah,
but
what?
every now and then I do clown. Clown
Yeah.
workshops have teach me how to be in the moment, how to be in the flop, how to identify what works, how to find allies in the room. And
Mhm.
once you know a little bit how to juggle with those things, you can manage well with the crowd. And if you have someone that makes you feel bad, you show it. Like, oh, okay. Sometimes I try things and they laugh. And I say, okay, great. Sometimes I try things. And if it doesn't work, I verbalize it. Oh, okay, that didn't work. It's okay. And we move on. It's like the be in the moment, be comfortable failing, which is not
Mhm.
really failing, but being in the flow when something is not working. Just try to make the most of it.
I love that, and I feel like clown is having a movement, at least here in the States, I could say, at
Hmm.
least maybe in the bigger cities, clown is having a movement. I'm going to a clown workshop on Sunday with Jet
Oh,
Eveleth,
nice.
who led a session at our
Oh,
Camp West. Yeah. I will follow her
yeah.
like a little puppy. Like, anything she offers, I'm like, "Oh, I'll do it."
Yeah.
I love her workshops.
Did she make you cry?
No, because she does different things in her workshops, but I did
Yeah.
cry at camp. Yes, I did cry at her camp workshop.
Yeah.
I had a whole, like,
No, it's
internalization transformation moment at camp.
hmm. No, I didn't cry at her workshop, but I enjoyed a lot. And I see the beauty of her way of working with everyone. Because at
Mhm.
the end of the day, clown is also putting a mirror to ourselves and learn to accept us and accept our feelings and work with what we have and what we are. And that is something that I bring to every session that I facilitate.
That's beautiful.
Mhm.
And, that's amazing because sometimes, at least in my beginning speaking career, I'm such a people pleaser. So I'm like, "Oh, I want them to like me." My ego is like, I want them to like me and I want them to think I'm such a good
Mm.
speaker. And now doing this work, the clown work, the facilitation work, I'm like, I don't care if they don't like me as a speaker, but I want them to hear the message. So I need to bridge the gap of like, I want them to at least be able to hear what I'm saying. So I want them to be open to me. But if they walk away going, I am changed or I can make a change because of this workshop, then my job is done as a facilitator.
Yeah, exactly.
Farhan, I want to take the quickest of breaks. And then I know you've alluded to a little bit of playback theater, but I want to learn more about it. So let's take a quick break and then we're going to jump
Yeah.
in and talk all about playback. We'll be right back. All right. And we're back talking with Ferran Luengo all about improv, applied improv, a little bit of public speaking. But I really, really want to talk next about playback theater because, Ferran, I gotta tell you, I read on your website that it was established in the United States in 1975,
Hmm.
and I
Yes.
only know about playback theater because of you. So part of me is like, should I know about this? Like, why haven't I heard about this? Why don't I know more about it? And kind of like guilting myself. But I want to reframe that into a yes and mindset. And I'm very curious
Right.
about playback theater. So, can you tell us what it is and why you love it and why it's so deep? You mentioned it was really deep before.
Hmm. So, playback theater, as you said, it was created in the United States in the years 1975 in Newport, New York.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it was created by a couple of artists and activists, Jonathan Fox and his wife Joe Salas. They were Jonathan was a clown actually and an actor, and Joe was a musician, and they together and with their company created this prototype of playback theater, like listening the stories from a community and reenact them. And it got big. It gained the attention of many other practitioners, and now it is practiced all around the globe. And it is considered one of the forms of theater for social change. And you could say it's a combination of storytelling, because we have this component from the teller from the audience who comes to the stage to tell the story. Of course, improv, in the
Mhm.
terms that the performers don't know what is going to happen or what they are going to perform until that the moment. Also, experimental theater, because as I said before, we use a lot of symbolism, especially the deeper the story or the more uh, potentially harmful, the more symbolism we use. And also, it has a component of drama therapy. Although I must say that playback theater is not therapy. It can be therapeutic, but it's not therapy.
You have to put that disclaimer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are chicken soup. We're not medicine.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, when most people hear improv, and I know this is a form of theater, not just
Mm,
improv, improv is a component of it. Well, when people think of improv,
mm,
they think of comedy. So you all aren't necessarily putting a comedic spin on the stories that are being told, but you're retelling it with
mhm.
symbolism. There may be some funny parts, but there may not be, right?
Yeah, exactly. People tend to laugh in playback theater sessions because that's life, right? You
Mhm.
laugh in every situation. There's always, sometimes you find the levity. So when you find humor in a playback theater reenactment, it's always earnest, it's sincere, it's because it's in there, it's in the situation. And yeah, people laugh, people cry in a playback theater session. And at the end of the day, what we want to do always, the performing team, is honor the stories of the people who share them. And in a playback theater session, we have also the conductor. So there's a conductor, actors, and a musician, because
Okay.
there's also music, right? Music. And the conductor acts as kind of the nexus between the audience and the performing team. And the conductor is the one who does the interviews and who manages the space to create a safe environment.
Are the storytellers aware that they're going to be telling a story, or do you pick someone in the audience and they're not really prepared to give a story? It's all improvised.
No, no, if they don't know what playback theater is, they don't know that that's how it works.
Right.
But most of the times in the session, we have someone who knows playback theater or likes to come into playback theater sessions. And that's why the figure of the conductor is very important. And every playback theater session has an arch. And in the very beginning of the arch of the ritual, that's how we call it. At the beginning, we start very slow, like speaking to the audience. How are you? How's your day? Oh, I'm good.
Mhm.
Okay, so we extract a little bit of feelings, sensations from the audience, and we play those sensations and feelings in what we call as short forms. And short form is like a flare that can be fluid sculpture, which is all the actors do, a fluid sculpture with movement and sounds and words related to the thing that person from the audience just shared. And then the conductor is going to build that trust. They say, this is what playback theater is about. You share something and we play it back for you, always
Oh,
with respect, of course.
I like that. So you get their buy-in, you build their trust, and then you can do more of a longer
Yeah,
form sets. Wow.
exactly. Yeah. There's not jumping right in the middle of the pool.
Right. How long are these shows
Yeah.
for?
Uh, they long between hour and a half is the sweet spot. No longer than that. We always aim for in the middle, 1 hour and 50 minutes.
Okay. And you said it's theater for social change. So can you elaborate on
Yeah,
that more? Is it through people sharing stories and it brings light to things going
exactly.
on in the community?
Yeah, because the first thing that we do is give people the chance to speak.
Mhm.
And most of the times we go to communities where they do not have the chance to speak or
Right.
raise awareness of a situation, of whatever problem that community is facing. For example, here in London, with London Playback. We've done a lot of performance sessions for NHS workers. NHS is like a national health service. I
Yeah.
think it stands for service. Well, yeah, for health workers and mental health workers as well. And we hear their struggles in the work, and they share things that we play back. And in Spain, in the company that I was in Spain when I began Teatro Playback Inestable, we used to go a lot of colleges to do sessions with social work students and um, future teachers, psychologists, even philosophers.
Wow.
Yeah, to hear the stories from them, and also cerebral palsy patients, um, and high schools for conflict resolution. We've also used that in high schools, but for the night school students, adults that go to the high school by night to take the title. But basically, wherever there's a community, there are stories, and there's a place for playback theater.
And you mentioned the stories can be really deep. You mentioned domestic violence. Could you give an example of a story you remember? Obviously, not saying the person or the place, but a story that
Yeah,
was
yeah, of course.
given, and how you all used symbolism to reenact this story too.
Yeah. So when I started doing playback theater, those stories were very scary for me as a performer,
For
because
sure.
first of all,
Yeah.
you want to be respectful to the teller. You want to honor the story. And I remember this girl that came, and she told a story about when she was a little girl in her town. The other kids bullied her
Mm.
just because her grandfather killed her grandmother,
Oh my god.
and then he hanged himself. And in playback theater, the conductor invites the teller to cast herself, chooses someone from the cast to play her. So the
Wow.
conductor says, from this cast, regardless of the gender of that, who do you want to play you? And she picked a girl. And the conductor said, do you want to pick another character? And she picked me to play the grandfather.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I was like, what do I do? What do I do? I mean, of course, I cannot be graphic and
Right.
literal about that. So what I did is I grab, because like in improv, you grab someone from the cast, like, come on, play with me to play. And I just grab a cloth, because in playback theater, we also use cloth, a piece of fabric. I just kind of do a movement, like kind of a dance. And I ended up just covering her with a cloth. And then I grab a cloth and I put it over myself, and I fall to the ground. And very subtle, very kind of, you try to do something symbolic, as I said, but never one of the aims of playback theater. We never play any aggression. If there's a story of aggression, we never play that aggression. If there's a story about a suicide, we never show the
Mm.
the acts. So yeah, so I played that way, and that gave a place to my partner who was playing the teller to carry on. doing the bit, because the rest of the scene I was just lying on the ground.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that is beautiful symbolism there of, not showing the aggression, but doing enough
Hmm.
to show and act. I mean, I have chills you talking about it, so that it had to have been a touching, deep moment there.
Hmm. And the fact that is in playback, it's more about feelings, not facts.
Mm.
Because the facts we already know. The teller told the story. The audience knows the story. The teller, of course, knows the story. So we have to do something else with it. Because sometimes you might say, oh, if you know the story, then it's not improv because you know what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
But no, you have to make something new from that story while honoring the story. And that's why we have forms.
Is the goal to have a lesson out of it, or more just to show the story on stage and let it have the feelings it has so that emotions can come forth
Yeah.
from it?
Yeah. No, I mean, we don't overdo, meaning
Mhm.
if something wasn't in the story, we don't add it. And also, we don't add an end. Sometimes in in the interviews, the conductor says, okay, how does this story ends? Just to give like a glimpse of how do we end the story. And not that we are playing the story also chronologically. There's no rule that we have to be literal and chronological with the story.
Okay.
So, but the idea is just we are, as playback theater actors, we're channels for that story. And we present the story, we do the reenactment. When the reenactment ends, the conductor always checks with the teller. How are you? Did you see the story? Did they honor the story? 90%, 99% of the times they say they are happy. Sometimes you can feel the gratitude.
Mhm.
Sometimes they say, I don't know, there's something missing. There's something missing. And
Oh,
then the
wow.
conductor asks, what was missing? For example, in last November, I was here in Barcelona in a playback theater gathering, in the Iberian Playback Theater Gathering, and I was conducting someone. And she told a story about being very frustrated. And when the story ended, I asked her, how was it for you? She told me, I think I missed a scream.
Oh.
Like she needed to see the scream. And then I say, okay, so actors, can we see this in a fluid sculpture, please?
Hmm.
And I say, let's watch. Let's watch is the prompt that the conductors use to start the scene. And they portrayed the scream. And when it ended, I asked, how are you now? Oh, yeah, much better. Because one of our duties as playback theater practitioners is if someone tells the story, we cannot leave that person live unhappy.
Yeah, I imagine. They've been through
Yeah.
enough with the story, yeah.
Yeah,
And they were
exactly.
vulnerable enough to share it to this group
Yeah.
watching the show. Yeah. I like that phrase of you, want to respect the teller and respect their story too. That's a really nice phrasing there.
Hmm.
What is the
Hmm.
training that you have to do as a playback theater? Because these can be, it seems like they're very sensitive
Hmm.
topics and subjects. So how long have you trained to be a playback theater actor before you were up there doing these shows?
Well, normally, uh, so I'm going to speak kind of the official route for becoming a playbacker established by the Center of Playback Theater, which is based in New York. So there's a core training. It's about 30 hours. They're mostly intensive. For example, I just run a course here in London that was 8 weeks. It was weekly because sometimes people struggle with intensives, and then at the end there's a showcase always. So you do a core training where you learn what is playback theater, the values of playback theater, the code of ethics of playback theater as well, the story, and then the basic forms that we teach in introduction is fluid sculpture, pairs. Pairs is a short form that we use when there's a story about someone telling a struggle. "Oh, I wanted to do this, but I also wanted to do that. Or I didn't want to do this because of that." When there's a personal struggle, there's a form that we use that it is called pairs. When we show these struggles where two actors playing both the protagonists show that struggle. And the last one is story, which is the more long formy, like a scene like reenactment of a story for longer stories as well. When playback theater was invented, the first forms were fluid sculpture, pairs, and story. But then people have developed a lot of forms. And that's the basic training. Then there's level 2. Level 2 are specific workshops that focus always on one aspect of playback theater. For example, I have one intensive that focus only on story form. And then I have another intensive workshop that I call ACA Playback, where I use these a cappella techniques that we use in Improv to apply it to playback theater forms. Because music, as I said, music is also a component of playback theater.
Right.
And that is considered like level 2 workshops. And when you have like an amount of level 2 workshops, you can access level 3. Level 3 is more about conducting and the ritual, holding the space, company life as well. And when you do level 3, then you do level 4, which is leadership. Is the last level, leadership. I did it last year, literally in Connecticut, in the United States.
Oh, wow.
And it's basically you do leadership because you want to create or hold a community of playbackers like this. And then beyond this training, then if you want to be a accredited trainer, if you want to have the accreditation by the Center of Playback Theatre that tells yes you are an accredited playback theatre facilitator, then you can ask for it. But you have to go through all the levels. But and this is something that the CPT themselves says, this is not gatekeeping.
Ah, okay.
Whoever wants can teach playback theater. But of course, I knew that, but I wanted to go through the process to drink directly from the source.
Yeah.
So that is what it takes to become a playback theater practitioner. And of course, a lot of playback theater performances and sessions and practices. I mean, I've been doing this for 11 years now. So, yeah.
And you are your bio said you're the secretary of the International Playback Theatre Network. So this is worldwide. It's everywhere, right? The International Playback Theatre Network?
Yeah. So there's two organizations. There's the CPT, the Center for Playback Theatre. That CPT takes charge of the training. IPTN is the community side. We try to reach all the playbackers from different communities, just to have kind of a hub, like,
Yeah.
hey, we are here. If you need something, we are here. We have memberships that we use to basically organize International Playback Theatre Network conference, which last one was last December in South Africa.
Wow.
And yeah, it's every 4 years we do like a big conference, and most of the money that we get from the membership is just for organizing those things. And we also have the IPTN journal, which has been running since the 90s, where you can find articles about playback theater and specific settings in different languages as well. So, and I'm the secretary of the Playback Theatre Network, the International Playback Theatre Network.
Wow.
Mm.
Well, okay, and then you take it a step further because you said you've done the leadership training. So you are a playback theater actor. So you perform in these shows. Are they called shows or do you call them something else?
Um, I like to call them sessions.
Sessions? Yeah. That feels better
Yeah,
than show.
yeah,
Um,
that show, because it's not like, it's not showy. It's or performance is also correct.
okay.
Performance. So yeah, I started as an actor, of course, and then sometimes I feel the role of musician. But the thing is, I'm not a skilled musician. I can I have my ukulele. Because you don't have really to be a skilled musician to give atmosphere. And of course, I use a lot my voice when I'm in the musician role.
Oh, interesting.
And I also, of course, I conduct.
Yeah, and so you have trained as a playback theater actor performing in these sessions or performances, but then you
Hmm.
also bring playback theater workshops to academic settings to teach students. So what kind of grades and ages do you mostly teach for this?
Okay, mostly the playback theater workshops that I run is for adults, obviously.
Okay.
Have I used playback theater with teenagers? Yes. It's easy. It is
N-
not.
no.
Because, as I said, to be a playback theater performer, you have to have a level of sensitivity, and you kind of have to know what you're doing, because it's not easy.
Yeah.
But one time I was facilitating for teenagers, and I still remember it because I was proud of what I accomplished with that group. So normally it was a 2 hours workshop. The first hour, it was all like improv games to make him feel comfortable, get in the mindset, to be relaxed. And then I stopped in the break, in the middle. I sit down with them and I said, okay, what is something that worries you in the school? And one boy opened up and said, well, I feel that the teachers assume the worst from me, like I'm a bad student, or because I
Mm.
sit in the back, or because that is something. You need a space free of any authority, uh, authoritarian, like
Oh, like
bigger
consequences.
position. Yeah,
Consequences to share.
yeah, yeah. And he shared that, and I invite some of the students does anyone feel comfortable portraying this situation? And they did a scene about that.
Wow.
They play back for their classmate. And then a girl shared that she she moved school because in the previous school, uh, she was sick of the male students kind of harassing her, and how she went to the teachers, and the teachers basically told her, boys will be boys, boys will be boys, or like that.
Oh
and
gosh.
and she even shared that she was even scared of telling that to her parents, because she was afraid they might think that she was doing something wrong and something. And again, I invited, is this anyone wants to play back this for her?
Wow.
And some of the students, and they did it, and they did it in a respectful way, and I was super happy and super proud of them.
Wow.
Again, that was odd.
A rare
You rare
occasion.
you Yeah, rare occasions. I don't know why that group was quite mature despite being teenagers, but sometimes I've stumbled with other groups of teenagers, and I'm doing improv games, and I kind of, okay, let's see if I can go a little bit deeper with them. And sometimes you can see, no, they're not yet. No, no.
Yeah.
So playback theater is complicated, but I know companies from around the world. For example, in Japan, there's a company called Playback AC that uses playback theater combined with Theater Forum, which is one of the main theater piece brought from Theater of the Oppressed. They combine those techniques to deal with the bullying.
Oh, wow.
Mm. But again, it's very important to know who's in the room again, because I
Yeah.
have a friend and fellow playback leader, Olya Smirnova, she's from Russia, but now she lives in Latvia because she went away because of the war. And she does playback for companies, for corporate settings.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and that's the debate of, she struggles whenever she has to ask the bosses to not be in the room, because
Mm.
this how safe is a corporate space? How safe
Mhm.
is?
Yeah. And there's a lot of work being done on psychological safety.
Yeah,
But I mean, we're not there yet.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and so when you're doing these workshops so is it mostly college students or you mentioned like NHS workers, social workers?
No, the workshops are more like it's kind of invitation to whoever wants to join.
Okay.
Like, we're doing open training. But for example, in April we are starting a new course with London Playback, and there's a lot of attendants that are coming because of seeing us, of seeing that practice in the sessions that we did for them as health workers.
Okay. So you did
Mm.
playback sessions, performances for the workers, not really the applied
Yeah,
workshops for them. But then that
yeah,
brings up
yeah,
interest. People who watch it, they say, "That's interesting," so
yeah.
they may want to take the workshops on their own.
Yeah. No, normally in corporate settings, the companies that I know that they work with them, is they always bring sessions,
Okay.
not training. After the session, there's always a debate and
Well,
a discussion about everything. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. What's the goal of companies bringing in these sessions and performances for their employees to watch? Is it to kinda have those
Mhm.
discussions afterwards, those debates, discussions afterwards?
Yeah, because they tell stories, about personal stories. Sometimes they might be about the work
Mhm.
itself,
Yeah.
but then again, sometimes we follow what we call a red thread. Maybe that story inspires some other story from someone from the audience, and that person wants to tell that story, but it's okay if it doesn't have to do with the work, or because we
Yeah,
don't want to say, no, that story, no, we're talking about that. No, all
right.
stories are welcome. And if a story pops out, it's because there's a resonance with the previous story.
That's beautiful. And you mentioned Theater of the Oppressed. So is that kind of
Mhm.
similar? I have heard of Theater of the Oppressed. I don't know a ton about it either. I know it is community based, kind of social justice based.
Hmm.
Um, do you work in tandem or they're kind of related?
Yes, I mean, playback theater drinks from Theater of the Oppressed, drinks from Augusto Boal, who was the
Okay.
creator of Theater of the Oppressed in Brazil. And the Theater of the Oppressed is a tree with a lot of branches.
Yes.
And the most famous is the uh, Forum Theater. In Forum Theater, there's a piece, like there's a scripted piece to show an oppression. For example, a woman gets pregnant, the boss finds out, and we see the scene of the boss having the conversation with that woman, basically letting her go. Then there's a discussion with the audience about, how do you feel about this? Do you think it is fair? Or what should have said her that she hasn't said? And someone in the audience might say, oh, she should have stand up a little bit for herself. Okay, do you want to come to the stage and become
Oh.
and take that role and say whatever that person should have said? And yeah, they kind of improv
Mhm.
the resolution. But here is the difference with playback theater: is no, we don't present a pre-scripted situation.
Got it.
We hear the stories in the moment and we reenact them in the moment. I mean, both are very valid tools. And as I
For
said, there are
sure.
companies that use form theater to show specific situations. As I said, for example, in Japan, bullying, they present a little scene of kids bullying others. The kids see that, there's a discussion about that. What would you change? And they change whatever they feel it needs to be changed. And then if that brings more discussion and also stories, like
Mhm.
that happened to me. Do you want to tell the story? Yes, it happened like that. And then they play back that story. So it's a good combo. In specific settings, it's a very good combo.
I've actually seen that done recently. So Kaiser Permanente, which is mostly California based, although they are in other states too, they have a section of theater trainings that they're using for companies. And I don't remember the exact name of how they're phrasing it, but they did that. They had a scripted
Hmm.
scene of a workplace issue, mostly communication, and then they had the trained actors perform it, but then they asked the participants, and this was all done on Teams on a virtual setting, what they could do differently, and then had someone even who had quite a bit of feelings and opinions, they asked them, would you want to be a part of this reenactment now? Now that you're talking about this, which I
Yeah.
recognize
Okay.
as part of the Theater of the Oppressed tree branches, I'm like, oh, I've
Hmm.
seen this, but I don't think they necessarily called it back to Theater of the Oppressed, probably because they just
Hmm.
didn't want to muddy everyone's brains and
Hmm.
get everyone confused. But I'm seeing the applications of this
Hmm.
work here in the States now that you're talking about it.
Yeah, and there are. other many applications of the theater of play. So, for example, they have image theater, which I've used again with teenagers that I see. Okay, they might not be fit for playback theater, but let's try something with image theater. Image theater is as it sounds. Uh, I ask them to make like a still image of something, an issue. And I remember back then when I did this workshop here in London, by the way, and it was when started the war on Ukraine, and they did an image theater about the war. And then when you have the image, you go through all of them and you touch one of them and you ask them to speak out like an inner monologue. What's the
Mhm.
thoughts of
Yeah.
that by then? And then when I got to, I remember I got to one and he spoke from the perspective of a bomb.
Oh, wow.
Like
Yeah.
I'm man-made. It's not my fault that the
Oh my
humans are using me
gosh.
to kill other humans. It's like yes, very, very well done. Yeah. So it theater of the oppressed, playback theater, any kind of theater that serves like a purpose of raising awareness of any kind of oppression, injustice, anything. Yeah, it's very powerful when you use that, and that's
Yeah.
why I lean more into community than to corporate, the corporate side of applied improv.
Well, I can
Mm.
see why this is beautiful work that you're doing, and I
Mm.
say beautiful in the sense that it is hard and difficult, and it is,
Mm.
scary, intimidating. There's a lot of words to to go with that. I'm, like, tearing up just thinking of, like, the beauty of this work of applied theater, the
Mm.
overarching umbrella of applied theater and how it can help people. Just sharing their stories, having their voices heard, having their stories heard. I'm at a loss for words. It's quite beautiful, and what you're doing, what playback theater I mean, what all these groups are doing. I can
Mm.
see your fascination
Yeah,
with it.
yeah, and that is something that I like to bring. That I always have things that I like to bring from playback to improv,
Mhm.
and vice versa. Uh, and actually, the workshop that I taught in Improv Utopia Spain last year was about how to use the symbolism tools that we use in playback theater, how to introduce them in improv. Why don't we allow ourselves to do a monologue in a scene,
Mm.
talking about our feelings, to sing a song, to tell a poem,
Mhm.
to offer the perspective of an inanimate object that we have here. Because using all the tools that we use in playback theater to reach this symbolism helps to get more texture to improv scenes.
Do you prefer, maybe you don't have to have a preference, but do you prefer the deeper side of this applied work versus the comedic side, like trying to be funny or, going into a show being like, "I am here to make you laugh." Like, this is a funny improv show.
Yeah,
Because that's where I've been kinda trained in, is, like, how to make improv funny and, like, make it enjoyable for audiences,
yeah.
and I imagine there's a mixture of both, right?
Yeah, I have a mix of both. Of course, I love the side of improv. I enjoy very much improv, but sometimes I find in improv a pressure that I don't find in playback theater, and that's the pressure as well. Oh, people need to like you. Pe-
Yeah.
People have to like you in improv, and I've reached a point that I'm like, F it, I just be myself. And there's
Yeah.
something that BOC helped me realize. Like, you do you, teach what you
Yeah.
preach. Don't try to be funny. You don't need it. If people don't laugh, then it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
uh, I just try to be honest with myself whenever I go to the stage, because sometimes I felt it. I felt the pressure, and I saw myself being very deliberate in trying to be funny and fail,
Mhm.
and then feel like shit, and
Yep.
feeling that I betray myself.
Yes.
And I said, now I know, I'm gonna be honest. I want to try to empty my mind, and if I have an idea, an honest idea that I want to bring in, I go to the scene and I bring it. And if it works, great. And if I don't have, it's okay. There will be other sets. I'll be in the more in the next one. And also the mindset of, okay, what is going on the stage? Is there anything I can do to help? If yes, okay, I will do it. If not, I'm not needed. I'm
Right.
here where I am. I'm here, and this is something that something that I started when I watch the American improvisers of Improvisatopia. Oh, they're so fast. They're so witty. They're to come to an acceptance that you don't have to be like that. You are
Nope.
you. You are Ferran. You're an European improviser, slow paced. It's okay. Yeah.
Exactly, because you bring a set of
Mm.
skills that I will dare say us Americans in general could probably use a little bit too, and it's a nice balance of different skill
Yeah.
sets instead of everyone just having a witty fest of, like, trying to be the wittiest one on stage kinda thing.
Yeah. 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 And sometimes it's like, oof, a struggle when I'm trying to teach American improvisers to slow down. It's
Mhm.
like, ooh, okay, breathe, breathe. Yeah. Uh, Now, and this is something that I want to work more and with, and the next Improv Utopia I'm teaching. It's gonna be different from last sentence. So the workshop is called the Empty Space Immediate Theater, but it's
Ooh,
just to like acknowledge the emptiness, be comfortable in it, and create without rushing, and also finding elements to bring texture and not being just two people on a scene talking.
yes. Oh god, yes, please.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm so
Uh,
guilty of it. I do it. I am so guilty of it, but thank you. I recognize the need to add texture and not just have the 2
no.
talking heads on stage.
Yeah, we are all guilty at certain points. Me as well. I mean,
Yeah,
but just if you have the awareness, that's that's a success.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ferran, what's headed next in your journey? You know, you're doing all this
Ooh.
community work. Where do you see this journey taking you further?
Well, so in June, I'm going to China.
Wow.
I've been invited to deliver a series of workshops, playback theater workshops. I'm gonna do 3 workshops in Shanghai and 3 workshops in Guangzhou.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've never been to China,
They'll be in
and
English speaking?
eh, there are English speakers,
Yeah.
but I've been told that there will be translation
Mm.
available.
Nice.
So it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna be teaching in China in June. Then, of course, many projects here in London. A show for Malaysian nurses. Keep teaching in schools. Then in the summer, I have a couple of projects working with kids and teens with the special education needs and disabilities. It's a beautiful project that we are working the whole week with a bunch of SEND kids, and then on the Friday this showcase for friends and family, and
Oh.
it's very
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, and Then I'm hoping to go to a couple of festivals, Nottingham here in the UK.
Oh, nice.
Then October, November is gonna be very, very busy for me. I have two Improv Utopia. When I end Improv Utopia the next weekend, I will go to Portugal for the Iberian Playback Theatre Gathering. The following weekend, the UK Playback Theatre Gathering.
Oh, wow.
And then Improv Fest Ireland.
Oh, yes.
And I'm going to be teaching there as well. Neil invited me to teach this year, and I'm very excited because I really, really, really love that festival. I really love the Irish community. The improv Irish community is the best, and they always show me a lot of love, and
Oh,
so I'm very, very, very happy to go there. And that's what I have lined up.
whew,
Well,
that is a year.
I forgot to mention maybe if I get off the wait list for Yosemite, of course, Yosemite. Yeah. Yeah.
Fingers crossed. I hope you do. That's oh my god. And this is your full-time work. You are a freelance applied improv instructor and you're making it work.
Yeah, kinda. Well, to be honest, if I had to survive only with my salary, it will be a struggle. I'm not
Right.
gonna lie. I'm not going to lie.
So you have your partner
But
helping.
yeah.
Well, you have to start somewhere.
I
And
just
it
open it.
sounds like the busyness that you have going on can help sustain you later, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, I
You're
hope so.
creating those
Yeah.
building blocks to sustain your business.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. And that is something that I've acknowledged myself because I tend to look down on myself a lot. You've talked a lot about this in your podcast about the imposter syndrome,
Yes.
these feelings are not being good enough. I have it, and like in a very acute way. But recently, I'm allowing myself to stop and say to myself, "You're good at your job."
Mhm. Very much so. But until you believe it, then it doesn't matter. Because if others say it and you're like, "Oh, whatever,"
Yeah,
you're not hearing it, then you're the one that has to
yeah.
believe it.
Well, yeah. That's another lesson that I got for BOC. Yeah, the first time I met BOC in 2018 in
Mhm.
Improvitopia in Ireland, I just did a set or something, a scene or something, and he came to me and told me, "Hey, great job up there." And I say, "Well, I don't know." And he looked at me seriously. He said, "Dude, I just complimented your work. Take it."
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's so important. And not to go, "Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing," or, "Oh, I messed up there."
Yeah.
You say, "Thank you, period.
No,
I
yeah.
appreciate you being here. Thank you for the support." And also let that compliment land.
Yeah.
I'm so guilty of doing the same exact thing. My 101 instructor for improv said something similar. He said, "When people come to you and give you a compliment, don't go, 'Oh, it was nothing.' Actually, like, feel it, internalize it. Like, say thank you and don't add but
Hmm.
or something else.
Yeah.
Just say thank you." It's so hard.
Yeah.
Ferran, I think you know this. I usually end the podcast with a final question that I ask most of the guests, and that is about yes and mindset or growth mindset. How do you embody a yes and or growth mindset in your life?
Oh, I if you've heard all that I said in this podcast, I think it's embodied in everything that I said. But
Absolutely.
let's just keep going. Take things as they come, build upon them, learn to be in the flop like a clown,
Mhm.
learn from every single experience and build upon it. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a great message, great final message. You're busy. You got a lot going on. Where and how can our listeners find out more about you?
Well, my Instagram, if you look for me in Instagram, Ferran Luengo, it will appear, is at LUENKUN, a little bit atypical. But I always say, just Google me. You will find me. You will stumble into my website, ferranluengo.com. My link tree, and my link tree, I think I said is the best way because I have all centralized in my link tree, all the upcoming shows and workshops, which is linktr.ee/Ferran Luengo. You can put that in the description, right,
I
Dana?
absolutely will. Yes. I was just impressed that you knew the Linktree website, because it's always weird where that period is, like linktr.ee. I'm like, I can't ever remember. So I was just impressed that you knew it. And yeah, you're active on Threads. I know. I can't. Threads is interesting. I'm still learning Threads.
Yeah, I mean, I used to use Twitter a lot, but then when it changed hands, I wasn't comfortable with the new landlord.
Agreed.
So I moved.
Yeah.
So I still check Twitter, but I don't post. I don't post in Twitter.
Got it. I was never Twitter. I just social media is hard for me, so I never really did Twitter. So still kind of figuring out Threads a little bit.
But I mean, Threads, I keep it more informal. The same in Instagram. My posts are related to more my professional journey, and the stories is whatever silly things I do.
Right. Okay. Yeah. You are doing poem writing too, right? Is that kind of a little dabble thing you're working on?
I try. Last year, I did every single day of 2023. Every day, I wrote a haiku.
Wow, impressive.
I guess someone were okay, someone were like, shit. Now I'm trying to write something. It's not like no, because I felt a little bit constrained by the haiku sometimes. Like, I want to say something, but that is too. So I started, inspired by my duo partner Fernando, my duo partner in Improv Utopia.
Yeah.
Yeah. I say, okay, I'll just write something just for the sake of writing something, just to get the brain going a little bit. And sometimes something good will come, sometimes not. It's okay. Yeah.
I like that. That's really important to do. And I like that it's consistent with every day, kind of just getting the creative juices flowing.
Yeah. And sometimes I struggle. I tell you, like, oh no, it's 11:55 and I haven't read anything. And I'm sleeping. I'm falling asleep, but I have to.
That's like my meditation journey a bit. Sometimes I don't do it, and then at the end I'm like, I got to do it before I go to sleep. It's like, it could have helped earlier in the day, but but you got to keep that streak going.
Yeah, like Duolingo.
Right.
When Duolingo scolds you, you're going to lose your streak. Come on.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Ferran, this has been such a pleasure chatting with you, getting to hear about playback theater. You've taught me so much today. I have magnets about the podcast, and I told you I don't know how to mail things internationally, although I could clearly find out. But I owe you a podcast magnet the next time I see you, which will probably not be Yosemite this year, since I won't be attending, but I will get you a podcast magnet.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe I can find any excuse to go to LA.
You will be close.
I don't know.
If you make the trip down, I would absolutely love to see you and physically hand you a podcast magnet. And thank you for listening and also being now a part of the show. I'm eternally grateful. I've so enjoyed this conversation. Just thank you, thank you, thank you.
Likewise, it's been a nice time. Thank you so much.
And thank you for listening to today's episode with the one and only Ferran Luengo. Oh my goodness. So wonderful. I am so appreciative of his time. With someone internationally, they're 8 hours plus time difference. So we, of course, work it out, which usually means they record in the evening times. And I'm so appreciative that Ferran took the time in his evening to chat with me and to share his story with us today. I am blown away by the benefits of applied theater and how theater can help communities and bring about social change. I know of the benefits and I'm aware, but to hear more about playback theater and learn more about it, it is fascinating. I imagine my privilege is showing a little bit in that I didn't know about playback theater and I haven't been maybe in the communities that the performances and sessions have been in, but I am so curious. I want to learn more. I hope that this episode has whet your appetite for learning more and just wanting to discover more about this art form in whatever shape or form resonates with you, right? There's so much to the arts. I think that's what I'm really reveling in today is like there's so much that the arts can do to help us. And it just is really magical if we lean into it and we don't know but it and get self-aware and go, "Oh, no, I'm not good at art and I'm not creative." But if we just allow the arts to be a part of us and embrace who we are, the arts can be so helpful. I also am so impressed, so impressed with Ferran doing this podcast in his third language of English. He teaches in English, he does performances in English, and I'm like, English is my only language, and I struggle to talk in it most of the time. I know he's been speaking in English for a while, but just for him having his first language and second language, and then also doing musical improv in English, having to rhyme in English, I'm like, what a very talented and smart person. I mean, just absolutely brilliant there. I know that we talked a ton about different things about camp and applied improv and playback theater, and there's so much that stood out, so I will let you process that. But one of the things that stood out to me that Ferran said was the fact that when he started doing his theater classes in school and college, when his friends kind of convinced him to try it, it brought him so much joy, and that he just followed the joy into his career, and he's now in this freelance business role. He's teaching, he's performing, he's an actor, he's doing all of the things, and originally he started in computing. He got his computing major in college, in university. I mean, that's wild. And he has just shifted and transitioned into this whole world of art just from following the joy that has lit him up. I am so inspired by that. And I just hope and wish him the best in his business. It seems like it's going well, and I hope it continues to thrive and go well for him. So I want to ask you, what is something that brings you joy and lights you up, but maybe you've been resistant to it or you haven't quite leaned into like what that joy is, how it can work for you? Certainly, you do not have to monetize all of your joyous hobbies. They can remain hobbies, they can remain creative endeavors, but can you do them more? If something is bringing you joy, how can you keep doing it instead of convincing yourself that it's not right for you or it takes up too much time or you've got to be serious or whatever it is? Can you find a way to bring more joy and joyful activities into your life? What are those activities and how can you keep doing them? I absolutely love this episode. I love how Ferran is a listener of the show, and again, that's not why I had him on. He's been on my list to invite for a while, but I'm grateful for him listening, and I'm also grateful for you listening today as well. If you have any thoughts on today's episode, want to share what came up, you want to share whatever resonated with you in this episode, please do so. You can email me at Dana, Dayna, at improvispeaking.com, or you can reach out to me on Instagram at improvispeaking. I'm on LinkedIn at Dana Gowan, and my website is improvispeaking.com. I love hearing from you. I am overjoyed with just the amount of topics that I can focus on too in this episode. And of course, I love focusing on improv and public speaking and performance and communication and creativity. And I love that this branched out today into applied theater and applied arts and how it can help the communities. Thank you so, so much for listening today to this episode and for supporting Improvly Speaking. Ferran does an amazing job in embracing and flexing his creative thinking. So I want to remind you to go out and flex your creative thinking as well. I'll talk to you next time.